What is today? Tuesday. I'm going to talk about a couple of things that are very important for you. If you want to hold a bigger business, there's the achievement of success. Yeah. But most importantly is, who are you becoming in the process of the success? That really matters, because in order to hold a bigger business, not gonna lie, there are a lot of not self patterns that have to be looked at, repatterned, recoded, deconditioned, if we really want to hold a bigger business, but not working hard for it. So this is really a conversation that I had with so many women lately, and also with my mentors. Everybody goes through the same experience, just on a different level. It doesn't matter if you want to scale to multi-millions, or if you just start your business and your goal is the first 10K month. It does not matter. It's actually not self-pattern that we get to shed, and layers and layers and layers and layers. And I want to share a personal story for what happened for me as well, but also a conversation that I had with a lot of private clients and with the potency ladies today, after one-on-one calls with them, which is, I want to say, the common theme among very ambitious women who feel driven for more, called for more, especially projectors. There comes also this not self of, being seen, not being seen, these things. But for any woman, I would say, and I see you all jumping on here, hello and welcome. Any woman who feels like this bigger life, bigger business, big, not always with so many clients, empires. We're not talking about this. It's more about significance, making a change in people's world, bigger business than just worrying about the next sale or overthinking the real views. Like, this is nitty-gritty things. Let's take it bigger, because this is actually one thing that I noticed, that a lot of women getting caught up in the littleness of the business that keeps them busy, distracted from actually making that bigger move. And the bigger move is usually what would create the bigger business. Kind of, instead of trying to, like, the image comes with restaurants, right? You have a restaurant and you have your menu, and this is your business, right? And you're in that restaurant and you try to get people in the restaurant and sell one dish, and you're promoting that and getting caught up in all the littleness, while instead we're gonna blow that shit up and own the fucking building. Yeah, so it is not about that one dish, if a client loves it or not, buys it or not. It's about owning that bigger building where you have multiple ways to create an entire hotel with different suites and restaurants and a shopping mall and all these things. So thinking bigger is definitely entrepreneur mindset. And on Tuesdays, I'm very much in a entrepreneur building a bigger business vibe, because I have the coaching calls with my private clients, I have coaching calls with my mentor, and I have a mastermind call. So I'm in all the spaces where the conversations are so next level that expand me into thinking bigger. And now the question that I ask today my clients is, what actually is coming up when I say, and you can answer that here. I would really love to have a conversation with you today. When it comes to your next level or your next evolutionary step, what is holding you back? Where are you kind of playing it down? And I'm not talking anymore about this stage of, this little girl energy of playing small and hiding. I'm not there. I don't want to have these types of conversation. We're already over that phase, because that is actually I say it as projectors, they go through certain seasons or evolutionary stages. And the first stage is really this little girl energy, or I call it also the good girl energy, of not wanting to offend and not trigger and rather fit in and playing small, because this is what our mothers kind of taught us, to not be too much. But then there's this fear of being seen, right? And so they're kind of holding back. So we're not talking about this today. After that phase, there's then the phase of the girl confident. Who's girl confident? Out of the good girl energy comes the girl confident. So if a projector overcomes the fear of being seen, suddenly there's this, I want a fucking bigger stage, and blasting from the rooftops, this is my restaurant, here's the best food. And there's still this energy on the other side of people going like, who is this? Like, if someone needs to overemphasize how confident they are and kind of how different and how rebellious they are, and all these names of rebel here and rebel there and all that. Do you resonate with this? Or even emphasizing their knowledge and their expertise and all this. If something needs to be overly emphasized and it's just not there and present, it's always like, oh. And this is a not self pattern. There's a not self pattern of, I'm still not seen, I'm still not recognized. Or making other people, bashing on other people. These industry talks about these coaches and what they're doing wrong and all this. And I'm just observing like, okay, there's still not self patterns showing up. But this, and in order to hold a bigger business, like these are all distractions, actually. These are all over layers and kind of, how do you call this? I don't do this thing. But how do these people call this if they paint their face like going into a war, like these words, and then they kind of blend it out? Camouflage, is it that? Like contouring? Contouring. I think it's contouring. I'm not using all that toxic shit on my face because I know what I put on my face. I think it's contouring, right? So with all this emphasizing of fear of not being seen, suddenly they're like, okay, I gotta claim my bigness. Claiming the bigness is not being a bigger person. It's not. And maybe you get the vibe where I want to head, right? Because this is what we see a lot in this space about there's too many words, there's too much this, there's too much this. And this is kind of the pendulum swings into the other direction. But when we look at really these true multiple $1 million earners, they are very, very grounded and very settled. And if you want to hold a bigger business, then the self-awareness and the way how we handle this around the not self patterns, whether it's, not feeling seen, feeling not seen enough, feeling not seen for the right thing, still feeling too triggering, too different, and all this, that is one thing. But what do we do with it? How do we handle it? And in order to hold a bigger business, we need to navigate that in a more mature way. And these only happens in conversations with other people who are really also in a bigger stage. And there's the from this proving energy of, hey, see me, to, and I've been there, like everything that I just outlined, I was there. So I can talk about this because I've been there. And then this bigger business, and I caught myself this week as well in one of those patterns. And I want to ask you here very honestly here, have you experienced one of these phases yourself too? Let's have just a real talk, because actually I'm so done with any kind of after the conversation with Doreen, I got so much feedback. We both got so much feedback about how necessary, honest, non-emotional, real talk conversations is, that I want to make this a staple on my show and bring woman energy to the table. There's no little girl, there's no good girl energy anymore. We're not talking about fear of showing up and fear of being seen. That is past. This is about, okay, you know what? We're gonna let ourselves be seen and witnessed in all of it. in the good, the bad, the discomfort, the ugly, but not from vulnerability shares, right? Because this is also a hidden not self pattern of I share very vulnerably here. It's like, do you see me? Are you still attention seeking? Like this is I know that this is a attention platform, but I tell you, these days I see the timeline more and more splitting. Like the darkness getting fucking, like they get triggered. If you are grounded in your pure woman anchored energy these days and really can hold it, you have no idea like what they try, what people try, even closest people in your circle. Don't be surprised if the program works through these people and try to pull you down. And the more we resist and try to prove and hold our point and explain whatever, we feed into them because the energy drops, right? But if someone is so rock solid in their sense of self and their self-esteem and know their truth, and at the same time being humble to listen and take what is other people's truth and kind of discern, and always self-reflection. I'm always here for being humble and reflecting yourself and where can I get better. This is defined ego, is always where can I improve, where can I get better. But I think has to be normal. As someone who is a leader, a mentor, like if you don't have highest ambition to become better in your craft as a business owner, mentor, whatever, I think this is a big part. Like it has to be like the normal, right? I'm a lifelong student. This is what my yoga teachers always shared with me. Like you have to be so humble and the mindset of a student your entire life, then there is no chance for a big ego. If someone thinks they have figured it all out and they don't need another mentor, another teacher, I'm always very suspicious. I'm like, who has this big ego and that everyone has figured it out? And this is also now not self pattern of also successful women who have a certain success and suddenly think, I don't need someone else, I can figure it out myself. Actually, that is self-sabotage, because in order to hold a bigger business, it's actually required to have more eyes on you, so that that you see your bullshit even faster, right? But if someone is kind of avoiding, says, I'm good, I can do it myself, or that's enough, I have set myself up with the least minimum of what is, but no, actually there would be more, but there's an avoiding of having someone call you out on your bullshit in a loving way, in a positive way. It's bypassing, yeah? And this is why I say, are you aware of these patterns that come up when things are good and you settle for good? That's not holding a bigger business. That means like really becoming a bigger person, and bigger person means less engagement with the little things, less distraction. And when I talk about this girl confidence, and then it goes into the woman energy that settles in when you just say, I have nothing to prove. I don't even have, here's a point, and I said, who's the second line here? Who's the fifth line here? I noticed that when you rise in your confidence and when you really decondition, that you see the program working through people, you cannot be mad at those people, even if they throw shit at you, even if they try to talk you down, even if they want to put dirt onto your reputation, even if they're seeking for your vulnerabilities, and we all have them. I'm not perfect, I make mistakes, I'm here to learn. Okay, and the thing is, if you claim it, if you claim everything, including that you're not perfect, that you make mistakes, you own it fully, and then they have nothing to attack. And if you're second line, they will always project something onto you. We do it, and as a second line, I know it, that things come very easily to me. When I do something which I'm super passionate about, I'm super good at it. I'm just a natural, and whether it was friends or peers or my family, my sister, my best friend, while it was in yoga, and I just got better like this, in business, a natural. Whatever we natural start, we are good at it. And that is a thing. Third lines can be highly triggered because they have the feeling they fuck things up all the time. No, you're not. You're a genius in being resilient. And you know how hard it is? If we fuck things up as a second line, we nearly die. It is like the worst thing for a second line when it goes into perfectionism if we make mistakes. But you are the master of figuring out what is working, what not. It's just the program telling you that you make mistakes. So every line actually has certain not self patterns that keep us from holding more, because then there is a resistance to fully step into radical ownership of your genius. And so now I'm coming, I need to watch the time for a second. Okay, I still have a little bit of time before I go into the call. It is 10 p.m. here, and I have still another 90-minute from 10 till 11:30. This is how dedicated I am, and I'm so fucking lit up all the time to have these conversations. So I want to say there's this woman energy when especially projectors overcome the need to be seen, because we understand, thank you, Christina, we understand and know ourselves so well that we can stay in our lane. Then there comes a self-dynamic that is a portal. There is a portal that a lot of women don't pass to really hold a bigger business. The men are different. Men are more willing to fail forward. But from history, women fear a bigger stage, more eyes on them, because of this envy that other women could be envious about how they do it, what they're doing, the success they have. And what also happens is that this radical ownership over the way how we do it. And whether it's, and I see very much the expression in this self-sabotage through the profile, because this is our personality, this is what we project out. And so what I experienced is that with what happened, and I reflected on it the last weeks, I took my entire mentors that I was working with, I made a decision, I took them from the pedestal. And I shifted away from, seeing them as something I don't have to they have something different than I have. And that allowed me also to attract a completely different level of clients, because as I said, I'm working with my peers. I would hire them for their work, what they have. So when we put it actually no one on the pedestal, we do not feel less than. And that's a different conversation that you suddenly have with mentors, and those conversations you bring with to your clients. But the reason why so many women feeling trapped and not attract the clients that they want is, A, they have the wrong conversations with their own mentors. That's a codependency. There's a I don't know, you know better, guide me, tell me, and always this external affirmation. And the mentors are like, yeah, I tell you should do that. I shall tell you should do that. I don't do that anymore. A long time ago, I'm like, you do whatever you want. I just bring it back to your own authority and emphasize that, because what comes through this more self-expression is the portal to holding a bigger business. And what there then happens is that women don't try to prove anymore that they're as good as or whatever, because there's nothing to compare. If you do your thing based on your design specifics, and this is what design is about, there is no reason to compare yourself, because this is like I compare myself to a tree. It's the same thing. It's so different. The design specifics are so different, but we face a homogenized coaching industry where everybody looks the same, and even the mentors want to mentor their clients the same way, unless you're really in a good mentoring with a human design based mentor. And there's always this comparison in the background. And so when you want to hold a bigger business, then there's no comparison anymore. But it's not it's not there anymore. It's not, in my world, it does not exist anymore. And this is a mutation that happens the same as if I would never ever smoke or think that I'm a smoker or be intended to get a cigarette or even alcohol. I don't drink, I don't smoke. That's my identity. So when you get to the point that you don't compare yourself anymore, you get into a power to hold higher level clients, bigger clients, because you are a bigger person. You have a different things also to say. The conversations are different. And my clients desire this because I also desire this for my conversations with my clients. I'm not so much talking anymore about fear of showing up and not being seen. I'm here for it at a certain stage, but the bigger vision is always the one-on-one and scaling the one-on-one. And scaling the one-on-one is actually something which brought up the entire conversation, an entire ripple into this industry. Because I talked about scaling one-on-one openly, I attracted a lot of stuff into my field that showed me, oh, there is a portal. Suddenly I do something, and the entire success of Potency, my 6 months mentorship for projectors, the stage, all that is something that I created. No mentor told me. It was out of my definition, out of my channels, out of me fully understanding myself so well and taking action with blinders on. No matter what other human design experts are saying, no matter what other experts formerly did, which I compared myself to all the time before I was truly deeply at this stage where I am, in that good girl energy of trying to be as good as them. I've been there too. And then what happened, and I reflected today with my mentor about this, is I created something that I had no idea wanted to be birthed out of me, and I was so my second line and so my flow, and I had the intention for the stage, but something else came through and even better. This is truly following strategy and authority to the T. And what I created, no mentor taught me. I put my systems together, and something so unique happened that even in this industry, I get policed, I get critiqued. This is normal. This is normal when you suddenly step and claim a space and a part of you, your genius, that looks different than anyone else is doing. So the portal for many women to hold a bigger business, different than for men, is that women are more trapped into not self patterns as, okay, now I have something that I do differently and that could offend others because it's so different and it's so new, or it could, question the way how other people are doing it, and it could create a ripple effect and some momentum or whatever that could shake this industry. So everybody wants to be a trailblazer, everybody wants to be a disruptor, everybody is a rebel, right? But when it comes to these things, I'm like, oh no, I better stay in my lane and dance like everyone on social media and put out all the other things, because the mainstream is responding to that. You got to be willing to move to the side and maybe have not the response yet until you find your thing, and suddenly you have your stage. But it's about claiming that genius in you and being willing to hold it, even if others feel triggered as fuck. But this is about really 7-figure, 8-figure earners. Like, you sit at the table with business owners, with entrepreneurs, and everything else that is distraction, overthinking about the littleness. That's not part of that reality. And so where do you want to belong? Where do you want to play? Which league do you want to play? And I know everybody has to go through this evolution, me included. You cannot start here. You have to become that person. Even if someone would take you and put you in the CEO seat of that company and say, here's your budget, this is your company, I gift you as 8-figure coaching business. And you are thrown into this industry, you would not be able to sustain that growth because and that success and hold this because you're simply not went through this experience. So there's nothing wrong at every stage that you are, but being aware of the self-sabotage and the not self patterns that come up. And for these women that I talk to, where this woman energy is, it's suddenly there's another thing. It's holding stake and claiming something that is so uniquely yours and that can disrupt this industry, and being able to hold that. And without the conversations that I have with my mentors, I would not be able to hold it, because we always default to the conversation that are more lower with the people that are more in our faces, right? Until the fractal changes. But also with, being humble to say, okay, I have something, but there's still some fear coming up. And the fear is, for example, to not be relatable anymore. What comes up when I say the fear of being so high fly, so successful, so doing your thing, so different, so unique, so what is she actually doing there? What is that? I've never seen something like this. Is it a show? Is it a podcast? Is it a whatever? And you go like, no, it's just me doing my thing. And if you don't explain it, you just model what you do, individuals in particular. Then suddenly those these people who formerly were feeding on your attention because there was an overcaring and overgiving and downselling, definitely downselling, and trying to then empower others up, versus now we sit here and say, okay, I'm not your coach anymore. That for me is tribal. It's like, okay, we need a different business model. I want to reach more people at all levels because I've been through it, but we need to create it cannot be everybody in my one-on-ones. Is not possible. But working through those fears to hold a bigger business is that you cannot be like proximity matters. Do you know what proximity means? And it means access to you, and especially if you're a projector, that gets to be the biggest entry point, also price level wise. But the more people have access to you, whether it's in the DMs or in a chat or in on the calls with you, like that gets to be really clear boundaries and clear price level, etc. Because what I notice is when women do really their thing, these two things matter. The accessibility of the people who come then into your world, here or here, where's your biggest attention? Where's your most profit? And where's your most attention? Check with yourself. You are usually the not self wants all the attention down here because there is more visibility, there's more being seen, but it's not recognition. Recognition also has to be matched with a price level. The profit is proximity, it's based on proximity. And that usually is what we clean up when I work with my clients, because that's not really matching who you want to attract and where your overly energy expenditure, aka attention, is a projector. Does that land for you? Is there a aha moment that this is not kind of what bigger business, always checking in with where do you benchmark? What is the benchmark for your business? And then the second thing is this relatability to, people are projecting onto us a lot of things because they stay in their littleness. Usually when I see how many people say, I want this, but fighting for their limitations to not do it. And I'm saying, I'm not sorry at this point anymore, because I give opportunities, I give information, I give so much value, and it's, in the end, everybody has to make this choice for yourself. But being able to hold this took me a while. But it's more empowering for the ones who want to move and who want to do something. But you cannot let yourself, your not self, jump in and say, oh no, but these people, and they weren't going to help these people, or relatability or whatever. So when I see a projector doing a fucking amazing work and then still being so much in distraction with old patterns, how they work with clients, or, there's so much this, instead of cupping that hard cut and then holding this higher level, that is the stretch. That is the portal. And the portal is having your own way of doing it and claiming it and taking up the space in this industry, and then holding that. That's the bigger business. Wow, okay, this is me, this is what I do. I don't overly explain, I don't prove anything, but I know I'm not relatable anymore. And I don't want to be relatable, because being relatable doesn't mean that you're not compassionate, but relating means always trying to not make the other person feel intimidated by your freedom, your power, and your success. And that's the not self. Because the unemotional, who has an unemotional center, we pick up right away the discomfort of others. When someone says, I feel uncomfortable to be seen, that's actually the discomfort that you pick up from the other person when they see you in your power. So what I noticed very often, the more I step into my power now with this totally detachment of, I don't even care who's watching, and even if someone tries to pull that down, I stay calm and I stay in my lane. That is actually inner boundary. This is internal boundaries. And I don't feel it anymore. It doesn't affect me anymore. I have awareness, I work through it, and I keep doing my thing. And so I want to bring it to what came up with the Scaling 101, to give you an example. With what I created with my business model now is what I wanted to have in all the spaces. I know as projectors, we are here to guide. There are certain dogmatic ways to outline it in the business context, meaning you have, meaning you have only one-on-one calls. That's not working for the coaching industry. And I know that the way how I guide and coach and mentor women is always in their lifestyle, in their context. It looks differently for moms, looks differently for people who are in a relationship, or want to work more in groups, or want to work more in one-on-one settings, or even real events, offline, online. It's so different. And I do believe that my biggest gift is to translate that into your context. And so when I talked about scaling one-on-one, I got critiqued a lot. But what I mean is scaling the genius inside of you that comes out most powerfully when you are in a one-on-one session. So what is your genius that you have based on your channels and your definition and your type and your profile? It's not only for projectors, it's for all women, but when I experience it from my projector energy, it's us guiding, and there is a gift that I have and that I wanted to bring into a bigger audience and not just one-on-one. So I created a way to do that. And with the experience that I had from the coaching industry to hold more, a bigger audience, the way how I communicate, the way how I have clear boundaries, the way how I can command people in these settings to know everybody knows the rules and the energetic etiquette and all that. This is my gift. And so I created a business model that is highly profitable for me as a projector, but that doesn't mean that I only work one-on-one with people, because I also like to have a bigger group and talk to them and guide people over 6 months who cannot afford my one-on-one yet, but where they are in their business and their integration of design is perfect for them. So I did that with the stage, with potency, with my one-on-one, with premium, with all these things. And there was a moment where I wanted to bring that out as a class, a talk, a master class, to share that and break it down, what actually scaling for projectors means. And then there was a moment where I was hesitant. You know why? Because I also faced this not self pattern of, if you put this out there, you're going to get a lot of critique because this is different, this is yours, and you're fucking successful with it. And some people will be offended by it. And I said, okay, fuck it, we do it. And this was the moment where you got to choose do you want to be bigger or do you want to please others? Because in the end, what does matter more? That you please someone or follow certain rules that someone else dictates, which is also homogenizing of certain things, how certain things are done? Or do you follow your intuition and your calling? And with calling, I mean this bigger thing, this bigger purpose. And when something pops up in my life and it pops up again and I have this strong pull, I have to get this out there and it helps so much, then I got to do it. Thank you, Doreen, for the recognition. So I wanted to share this with you, mostly to express what I had as conversations in my private coaching, and also to announce that later, after my call, I will bring out the Scaling One-on-One class. It's happening this Saturday. If you want to hold a bigger business and want to know how to multiply your genius, and it's not just working in one-on-ones, it's really looking at, I gotta tell you, girl, you are sitting on gold. You are sitting on gold, and we gotta strategize and monetize that. And I can tell you how, and that is my genius. So the one-on-one class happens this Saturday, and if you want to join that class, then watch my stories later. It's gonna change your business absolutely into a more profitable way of doing things without working more. Okay, so I'm gonna announce it later, and I'm gonna be fucking excited for it. This is gonna be so good, so next level. You have never seen that before. Thank you for watching, and I'm gonna talk to you very soon.